Fans of roguelikes have been eating well on Nintendo platforms lately, with Toa and the Guardians of the Spirit Tree, Linked Banner of the Spark, and in a sense, even Donkey Kong's new Emerald Rush DLC. But if there's one roguelike that just dominates conversation, it's Hades 2, the follow-up to the incredible Hades, which originally released in 2020. Now that game was considered so good that many people wondered just how a sequel could live up to such high expectations. Now personally, I didn't have to ask myself that, because I came into Hades 2 completely fresh. What's it like? Pick your tarot cards, select your weapon, and enter the night as we review Hades 2 on Nintendo Switch 2. Hades 2 follows Melinoë, Zagreus' sister and daughter of Hades and Persephone, as she sets out to defeat the Titan Kronos, who has taken control of the House of Hades. Not much is revealed at the start, but the narrative is expertly woven like Arachne's silks. Exposition is drip-fed with characters slipping minor details as you interact with them during your runs. Every failure of a run is an opportunity to learn more about the underworld and its denizens. Melinoë herself reveals her inner thoughts, and characters remember small details like if you barely scraped through a previous fight, and interactions are brought to life by a talented voice cast. You can also nurture relationships with characters by gifting the nectar of the gods or using hot springs to deepen bonds. And as someone who rarely engages with relationship building in cozy games, I found each connection in Hades 2 led to more discovery, and the addictive nature of the game kept me curious and eager to learn everything I could.
Thank you, Nem.
The gameplay loop starts with you embarking on a night, fighting your way through rooms and levels, and being rewarded boons after each room with upgrades to skills and abilities that increase your chances of success. You will fail, a lot, and each failure will bring you back to the crossroads where you can upgrade abilities or tarot cards, learn more about the story, and then try again. Failure rarely feels frustrating though, and each run carried the excitement of thinking, this could be the run. Most of the time, it wasn't.
Return to Shadow now.
It took me roughly 30 runs to finally knock Kronos down a peg or two, and right after doing so, all I wanted to do was dive immediately back in. Combat is fast, furious, and slick. Dodging feels perfect, and there's a large selection of weapons and abilities to find what works best for your playstyle. My weapon of choice ended up being the torches, and on my successful run, I focused on leveling my main attack instead of my specials, which gave it a huge damage buff every 12 seconds. By refining that mechanic throughout the run, Kronos was feeling those massive hits every 2 seconds by the time I reached him. Experimentation like that may initially frustrate some players due to the lack of obvious options. I kept failing with the default staff, and then I got a little bit further using the axe, and then eventually even further with the dagger and sickle. Finally, I was encouraged to try the torches, which allowed me to really start making progress. And at first, I could only reach the end of the second area, and after an hour or so with the right tarot cards and boons, I realised the kind of build that suited my playstyle. A simple attack and dodge setup rather than relying on AoE and special moves. Suddenly, I was making significantly more progress until I reached Kronos himself. None of this was frustrating, because every failure, as mentioned before, led to more discovery, unlocked new tarot cards and items. And the strength of Hades 2 really lies in its variety, because no two runs are ever the same, and while a bit of RNG is involved, your combat choices will ultimately determine whether you're successful or not. Hades 2 is presented in a gorgeous art style that just oozes charm. Character portraits have a trading card quality, with foil-like highlights that make each persona stand out. Combat and spell effects flash and crackle across the screen, creating an isometric battlefield as you fight through varied environments. Each area is intricately detailed with an almost cel-shaded look. bringing depth and texture to the underworld. My only complaint is that the screen can sometimes become a little too chaotic, making it difficult to gauge whether a projectile is yours or an enemy. This was made slightly worse when your health drops and the screen flashes red, which occasionally left me feeling like I was taking hits even when I wasn't. Boss fights, however, remain the highlight, with encounters that are a spectacle of spellcraft and chaos, backed by striking designs that feel both imposing and creative with varied gameplay mechanics weaved in. The soundtrack is equally impressive. At times, it's even haunting, with melodies of sirens echoing from the depths below, and in other moments shifting to shredding guitar riffs that send your adrenaline surging as you dodge countless spells flying your way. It's every bit as memorable as the visuals, working hand in hand to immerse you deeper in Melinoë's journey. Hades 2 is incredibly well optimized on both the Switch 1 and the Switch 2. On the Nintendo Switch 2, the game runs at a silky smooth 120 FPS at 1080p in TV mode, and 60 FPS at 1080p in handheld mode. The original Switch handles it at a stable 60 FPS in 720p for both modes. Owners of the Switch version can also download a free upgrade to the Switch 2 version, making the jump seamless and well worth it for the improved performance when you upgrade your hardware. For my warriors looking into accessibility, Hades 2 includes several options to make your time in the underworld more comfortable. You can reduce screen shake, remap all buttons, enable aim assist, and even turn on auto fire. The game also features God mode, and it's not quite what you might expect. Instead of making you invincible, it actually increases your resistance to damage by 2% with every death, up to a maximum of 80%. If that feels too strong, you can also tweak the setting to find a balance that suits you. As always though, I recommend further research to make sure Hades 2 meets your specific needs. At $45 Australian, Hades 2 is an exceptionally polished game with mechanics to master, secrets to uncover, and near endless replayability. Hades 2 is an incredible experience with a gripping story, evolving mechanics, and endlessly satisfying combat. Every run feels like an adventure, and every failure still feels like progress, and every success, more importantly, feels earned. The art, the music, the voice work, it all combines to create a world that is thrilling to play as it is to simply exist in. Since starting What's It Like, I've played and reviewed a lot of great games, yet Hades 2 stands tall among the very best. It's a game that I'll keep coming back to for years to come, and one that I can wholeheartedly recommend to anyone looking for a masterpiece on the Switch 2. So, what's it like? Hades 2 is like the original Hades, only bigger, bolder, and better. I award it a 96 out of 100, making Hades 2 a What's It Like certified exceptional game. In the interest of full disclosure, a review copy was provided by Supergiant Games, but this doesn't influence my score.
Return to Shadow now.
Thanks so much for watching my video. If you liked it, the best way you can support What's It Like is by liking, subscribing, and sharing it with your friends. For more reviews, click on the thumbnails to the right, and for everything Nintendo, check out whatsItlike.com.au.